Hello, hello, hello. You're tuning into another episode of The Wunderkind Show. Today's second topic, EDC tells us why he does what he does. Look. I want to be clear on this, right? I have given EDC a lot of love and a lot of credit. On that same token, I've given EDC a lot of criticism and critique. And I always felt that I was fair. Always fair. And I've questioned some of the stuff that he's done. I've agreed with some of the stuff he's done. But I've always tried to keep an open mind of being always fair. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, it's not as easy as everyone thinks it is. But I expect you to do the common sense, the layups. Just make the layups. That's how I am. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a piece of audio. Because we already know there's a lot of pieces and dimes that he dropped from the other day in the interview that he had did, I believe with the some conference. And he talked about how the Ravens always want to spend their cap, how he looks at developing players, how he looks at free agents. And I thought, because of how I felt on some of this stuff, and people have critiqued me heavily for critiquing him. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the audio and then we're going to break it down. Because there's some parts in this that I agree with and some parts I heavily disagree with. And I'm going to let you know, all right? So without further ado, let's play the audio and break this bad boy down.
Every year. Okay, so you've got the salary cap and you've got cash spent, okay? And we were always, historically, the Eagles were the same way. Cash over cap. So we're spending more money than the cap every single year through signing bonuses and different things. We want to be, every year, approximately the seventh.
Hold up. Y'all comparing yourselves to the Eagles? Okay. I'll continue.
Best in the league in terms of cash spent. We don't want to be number one, and we certainly don't want to be number 32. We want to be in the top third of all teams every single year in terms of cash spent, which we think gives us a chance to be somewhat responsible, but also aggressive in terms of signing players and retaining our own players. That works.
Hold on, guys. It froze. Sorry.
High price guys for us. Now, we're not a big team of free agency. We're not going to go out and typically sign high price guys. We did sign Derrick Henry this year, but we're not going to be a team historically that's going to go out and spend $30 million on a player unless he's one of our players. We will try to retain our players, and one of my pledges was that we're going to, as a GM, we're going to try to retain our young talent as much as possible. I think we've done about 32 deals in the last 6 years with our own players. So I'm not really interested in getting players from other teams as much. But if we have good young talent that we've drafted and developed, for me, it makes a lot of sense to keep those guys in our program.
And look, sorry for the pause in there too. I want to say this, right? I don't disagree with everything that he stated in his comments. I do not disagree on wanting to retain and sign the young players in which you have drafted and you have entrusted and they've been within your program, and you think that if they succeed, they excel, they should be rewarded and kept on. I don't disagree with that at all. Not even this much. Here's my problem with being an historical bad free agent team. You could have some young talent. You might even have some veteran talent. But sometimes if the opportunity shows itself, because context and timing is everything, and a player that is of absolutely cut from the ultra elite tier, and you have the opportunity to bring him on, you have the opportunity to make him part of your system, your franchise, your history, your goals, and you don't, simply because the history of your team is not that. Oh! You have done a disservice to the fans. You have done a disservice to the team. You have done a disservice to the players. You've done a disservice to the coaches. And I want to make sure that I make my point clear on that specific part. Because sometimes, no matter how well you draft, you miss. I laughed. If you notice when he said this, I laughed when he brought up Philly's like, oh, we're just like Philly, we do such and such and such. And I'm like, do you see the moves that Philly's been making? Do you see? Do you see that Philly, for all the moves, big agent names, retaining young talent, retaining their talent, bringing in big name guys and everything else, they somehow have a multitude of salary cap spending that they can go to that we are not afforded, and somehow they were still able to bring on massive free agent signings on both sides of the ball. You see, right now the Ravens wasted 5 years. 5 years of Lamar Jackson's career. And you have to understand the financial implications of what the Ravens truly did to understand how they shortchanged us as fans and those players as the backbone of what we're watching. When you have a quarterback on a rookie deal, it's at those times when you bring in the big free agents. Why? Because you're not spending the money in other areas. That's why. That money that he would be getting, you could divvy that up to bring in big names to help that quarterback, help that offense, help the team get to higher highs. The Ravens had a multitude of chances to do that, and they missed out on almost every single year. This is why I was mad about not trying to actively get a Mike Evans, or even when we didn't get DeAndre Hopkins. I want to let you understand something. When I told you guys that OBJ was a one-year rental, they only did it to make sure that Lamar Jackson resigns with the team. They wanted to say, look, we can give you one of those guys, and they tried to give the guy, because they're around the same age, right? But they wanted to be able to give the guy who they felt they can only give a one-year contract, just to only be under the gun for 1 year, that contract so they can move forward with what they want to do in the future. Because they don't believe in bringing in these free agent, big name, big receiving targets from other teams. They just have never done it. And they've seemed to, instead of learning from their history and past, of not embracing it, sometimes they have totally admitted to that's not what we do. And we will not be doing it moving forward. That's a problem. That's a problem. It's been a problem. If they were willing to have contacts and say, usually we don't do stuff like that, but we got this dynamic MVP quarterback in its prime, young, everything else, on a rookie deal. Let's see just how much we can give and how far they can go with it. If they would have done that, I promise you the Ravens would have got at least one championship in Lamar Jackson's first 5 years. But they refused. They refused. And now, because now Lamar Jackson signed, it looks like they're staying in that same motion of saying, look, we draft guys, we don't bring in guys. Yeah, we brought in Derrick Henry, but that was for a very manageable amount of money. EDC, like I said last season, there is no excuses moving forward. John Harbaugh, there's no excuses moving forward. Because you help EDC when you want to get players and stuff like that. You guys actively refused to give Lamar weapons for 4 to 5 years. And we've had to suffer because of it. Because you pretty much said he'll do all the heavy lifting by himself. And now that you've already paid him, now that he's a 2-time MVP, now that you've seen just how good he could truly be passing the ball, you're like, look, we're going to fully invest into these young guys, and that's where we're going to hang our hats. Here's the thing. I want to make sure y'all understand this. If he misses this year, I don't want to hear anything. Because as much as I'm happy with the Derrick Henry signing, weapons in this NFL matter. The numbers back it up. They back it up. And if the Ravens stick to what they said they're a numbers team. They said they play the numbers. They play the probabilities. They like the science. All I'm saying, EDC, is do what you do, but sometimes you have to step out of that comfort zone. Because you got to strike where the iron's hot. If not, well then, nothing gets ironed. But what do you guys think? Do you agree with me, or do you agree with EDC thinking everything he does is PG clean? Let me know what y'all think down in the comment section, all right? But as always, that's the episode of the Wunderkind Show. Thank you for watching. Y'all know how we get down. We have fun and we laugh. But everything we talk about rooted in what? Facts and truth. Please do remember, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. You know I love the comments. If you have not done so already, check out the Wunderkind Show's Patreon. Yes, 3 tiers of content goodness waiting for your consumption. Give it a look, give it a try. Let me know what you think. And if you would like to donate to the channel, help out with equipment and such stuff like that, bottom of the screen, QR code. QR codes to a Cash App. Cash App located in the description of every video that we do. And the name of it is The Wunderkind Show. Super easy. But once again, this is The Wunderkind Show. This is your host, Dr. signing off. And as always, you know my slogan. Peace. And I am out of here. Yerp.
Finish him, Daddy.
Oh.